In this video, I want to talk about how you can protect your lead magnets to make sure only your subscribers can get them, but not mess with passwords and all that annoying stuff. All right, so here's the situation. You're having people opt in for a lead magnet, probably a PDF or something like that, maybe a video, doesn't really matter. And you want to make sure that people actually need to be on your list in order to get it, okay? And so you're curious, how can you protect that thing but without making things super complicated? So the first thing I want to mention here out the gate is that I do see people who sometimes they stress about this stuff a little bit too much, and they're like, okay, like what would be so bad, frankly, if somebody was able to get access to your lead magnet without being on your list? If you're doing a good job with your lead magnet, then if it gets into somebody's hands who's not on your list, the lead magnet's going to want to make them get on your list. And so you're still getting exposure. And so for that reason, there's definitely a solid argument to be said that don't worry about it, okay? And so what you could do is when they, in the welcome email that you send them after they've opted into your list, you just send them a link to a page on your website, but it's a page that's not listed in your navigation menu or anything. It just happens to be there. And then the only way they're going to find that URL is to be on your email list, okay? So that's the easy way. Now, you might be curious, well, what if somebody gets access to this page, but they're not on my list? Like, what if your subscribers like shared it with somebody else? Well, how does that work? That's where you first get into, do you need to worry about it? In most cases, I would say don't. Like, just move on with your life. You got better things to worry about. But there is a way, and I want to show you how to do it. There are a few bad ways to do it, and first let's mention what those are. First of all, you can obviously send them it as an attachment. That's not a good idea. I do not recommend that you send your lead magnet, like PDF files and stuff, as an attachment. It's just a poor idea. It's probably going to hurt your delivery rates. No bueno, don't do it, okay? Another way is that you could use the built-in password protection capability of WordPress, where you basically set a master password on that exact page. And so what's going to happen is it's just going to prompt them to enter a password, and then it'll unlock it. Now, the problem with that is that everybody will be using the exact same password. And so it's just kind of stupid, really. I mean, if somebody else got the password, they could unlock it. It's not very professional. It's kind of dumb. I wouldn't bother with that. One way to do it is to have a free membership. Now, this is something that I used to do, and I don't do it anymore because it was too much hassle. But basically, if you have a free member level on your site, on a membership site, you can have them be able to log into the membership and get access to their lead magnets that way. There are some advantages to it, but if that's pretty much all they're doing is logging in order to access lead magnets, it's a lot of hassle, because then you're going to be dealing with support inquiries on like, hey, I forgot my password. How do I log in? I don't know where to go, blah, blah, blah. And it's just not worth it. And so the method I want to show you today is super simple. It means that you can guarantee that they're on your email list. And secondly, there's not going to be any user account required. You don't have to set up a user account on WordPress. You don't have to set up a membership level. You don't have to deal with any of that jazz. So let me show you how to make this thing happen. Okay, the answer to this is going to be the plugin called WP Fusion. Now, I've talked about WP Fusion many times, and I do want to be clear that this particular thing that I'm talking about will work with the free version. If you're not actually aware, WP Fusion is by nature a free or a paid plugin, and this is what I use. This is what I use on client projects all the time for memberships and stuff like that. However, they do have a light version. Now, you can opt in here for it. You'll actually find it in the WordPress plugin repository as well, WP Fusion Lite, and it will work. What I'm going to show you here will work without buying WP Fusion. Okay, so the light version will work. Now, so what AutoLogin is a way where you can pass the contact ID from your CRM in a format such as this, and it will basically unlock content that's protected content. It will unlock it just by verifying that they are in your email list. And you could see here that there's different formats for different CRMs, but this also gives you an idea of all the different CRMs that you can do this with. And this is probably honestly going to cover most of the ones you guys might be using. You know, MailerLite, MailChimp, I use Fluent CRM myself, Active Campaign. You get the idea, but you're going to pass this contact ID, the CID, and then you'll have what basically a merge field that you can have in the email. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll write an email that goes out to your people who subscribe, and then when you link to your lead magnet, you just link them to the page on your website that's going to have that lead magnet on it, and you just pass their contact ID along in the link. They'll never see it, but by doing that, it's going to unlock it. Okay? Okay, in a private browser window, so I can show you what I mean, I created this test setup, and it just I pointed them to a thank you page, and I could use a page like this in order to give them access to the lead magnet. But you can see here that it's saying, oops, I don't have permission to it, right? But what'll happen here, let me pass a contact ID into it of somebody who's on my list, which is myself, of course. And now it'll say, we will use this page. This is the actual content of the page. I didn't embed a PDF on there, but you can see that it unlocks it. And there was no password involved or anything like that. All right, in the back end of WordPress, you can see I'm on the WP Fusion settings page. And again, I'm not using, even though I have full access to the paid version, I'm not using it on this setup. This is the free version of WP Fusion, so anybody can do this, all right? Go over to the advanced section, go over here to auto login, and you want to check this little box that says allow URL login. And it says you can track user activity, which is cool. You can do that too. And you can unlock content by passing a contact ID in the URL, which is what I just showed you. Okay, now with that functionality, we have the ability to do exactly what I just said. And if you go to my list, again with Fluent CRM, I've got one subscriber, which is just myself at support@blogmarketingacademy.com. And this happens to have a contact ID of 1. This little 2 here, by the way, is the WordPress user ID. That's different, okay? But for Fluent CRM, you can see up here in the URL, it's got an ID of 1. And as I just showed you, when I pass in that 1, it knows that this particular user is on the list and it will show the content. If that person is not on the list, it's not going to show the content. It's really simple. There's no user profile required, no complexity. Okay, and lastly, just to show you how I protected the page, here's that thank you page that I was just using as an example. If we click on edit, you'll see this is the content of the page. I didn't really do anything fancy here. The big important part here is that you want to go down to where WP Fusion's protection settings are used, and you just want to check this box that says users must be logged in to view this page. If you want, you can actually require particular tags and everything. The auto login functionality will actually load up their tags without any user profile. Okay, and so it will basically provide them temporary access to this protected content, kind of like you would on a membership site, really, except that you can just bypass them having to have a user account. They can just access this. You make sure they've got the right tag to access this particular lead magnet or whatever you got on the page, and boom, they will access it. And again, if they don't have the proper permissions, it won't show it to them. So this is how I do lead magnet protection on my particular page. On blogmarketingacademy.com, I have several different lead magnets, okay? Each lead magnet has a particular page set up on my website so they can actually download the lead magnet. I actually embed the PDF there, and I've got the download link and the whole thing. And rather than bothering people with setting up free user accounts and setting passwords that they might lose or anything like that, I just use WP Fusion's auto login functionality. And then when I send them the email that says, here's your access, the link that I use just points them to that lead magnets page, and I pass the contact ID along in there. It checks to make sure they've got the right tag on their profile, and that's it. Done. They've got beautiful access to it. The cool thing is they have to click on that email in order to get it. If they access that page, or they somehow magically get access to that lead magnet page without that email, it's not going to work. It's going to actually, what I do is instead of just showing them oops and permission denied, which is not very friendly, I actually use WP Fusion to auto direct them to the squeeze page to opt in for that lead magnet. So if they try to opt in, or if they try to get the lead magnet without opting in, I'm going to know, and the system will send them back to opt in, and that makes sure that they're on the list so they can get the lead magnet. Again, the answer is WP Fusion. Now, WP Fusion as a plugin does a lot of incredible things. It's pretty much like the Swiss Army knife. I use it on every membership site I build. It's fantastic. But I use the Pro version. The Pro version does a heck of a lot more things. It integrates plugins together and is gorgeous. But I want to be clear, for what I just showed you, the WP Fusion Lite free plugin will totally do the job. And it works out really nicely. It's easy to use. You don't have to worry about passwords and all that. Super simple. All right, if you have any questions at all, go below in the comments, ask away. I'll be sure to get back to you. I do check them fairly regularly. And that's about it. I'll see you on the next video.